the mysterious case of Paul Benowitz. But Colonel Corso, they knew they had a mole. There was in the 60s, one of the people that was over paperclip was actually convicted of selling our secret. The highest military offense, the highest treason charged and convicted was the guy that was in charge of paperclip. And part of my presentation, I proved to the audience's satisfaction that stealth technology was not back engineered from the Roswell crash. It was actually invented in the 30s by the Germans, and I document that for them. So we've been told that the B 52 bomber was modeled from the Roswell crash, au contraire, mon frere. But the question's going to come up once Colonel Corso, deathbed test. I mean, you talk about credentials, you're not going to top this guy on the day after Roswell. So I have to deal with it. In the introduction of his own book, he talks about an act of treason that was happening, and they were looking for moles. So, me reading my own writing, why would someone in the government do that to the military, to those under themselves? Colonel Corso tells us the answer because in 62, he was trying to get to President Kennedy about this treason information. But how intelligence and counterintelligence sometimes work when they think they have moles, and Greg Bishop would back this up, is that they're trying to figure out who to go after. So you give one person some top secret intelligence data or experimental technology.
Bring that up. So
yeah, you tell them it's Russian. We smuggled it. You give someone else the exact same files, and you tell them, well, that's created from Tesla technology that we're hiding from the world. We're going to farm that out and let GE or Westinghouse get the credit. You tell a third person it's from an extraterrestrial craft, and none of the truths have to be true, but you create some documentation, you give it to 3 or 4 people, and then you sit back and you see which lie makes its way to the Soviets.
Bingo.
Ooh, yeah. And then you know who your mole is, but you got 4 lies. So Corso, I believe, told the truth as he knew it.
Yes.
He was not given the truth. And Paul Doty, Richard Benowitz, Bob Lazar, du jour of the week, here we are. I apologize. I don't even know the man's name. Just the whistleblower. He can't tell us.
How you pronounce it.
Yeah, he can't tell us because it's top secret information, so he can't really say it. So on Facebook, when that came out, I just replied, "Source, trust me, bro. Do what you will with it."
Yep. I was gonna bring that up because specifically with we lost you there, guy. Oh no, sorry, I'm looking at the wrong video. You stopped. Okay, sorry, I'm confusing myself. Yeah, I was gonna bring that up because with Bob Lazar, so many details because of my own research into anti-gravity. I don't know what to call it. This mystery force. Okay, I'm hesitant to call it gravity or anti-gravity. It's just an unexplainable force that we're still documenting. We've got a patent in play right now as a result of all that research. But there were so many things that Bob Lazar said in his testimony, especially when he first came out. And I'm like, you know what? This is legit. This is a lot of what he's saying. This is spot on. And it's little itty bitty details that you would never, ever think about for things like he mentioned at the time when they're test flying this UFO. He was like, or this flying saucer. He's saying it didn't make sense to me because it uses this gravity field, but they're using conventional handheld VHF radios to communicate with the pilots. And that gravity field should distort it distorts time is what it does. So it's going to throw all the frequencies off between the 2 radios. And he's like, I don't understand why this did this. And this was one aspect we looked at in our anti-gravity research, because if we are actually generating a gravity field, this is why GPS satellites have a slower clock on board, because at altitude, when they're out of Earth's gravitational field, their clocks on board, it's time dilation, gravity affects time, and so time runs faster on the GPS satellite because it's farther away from Earth. So they actually counter that by making the clocks on board run slower, so they're synchronized with the clocks on the ground, because that time is critical for how they operate. So this was one of the things I was looking at with our research. Was I've got my gravity generator and I've got stopwatches, one right beside it in the field and one the control way over there and synchronized. The problem is, even with a really powerful, strong gravitational differential, the time dilation is really minute. For example, the Voyager space probe, it's way out there now. It's basically in zero gravity. So you've got this huge gravitational differential, but it's still using the same frequency it transmitted with when it left. Nothing's changed, or at least not to the point where they can't communicate, right? So anyway, things like that Bob Lazar said, that it was like, oh, I never, this is what makes me believe his testimonies, except when it comes to things like he said, I was told these flying saucers were excavated from archaeological excavations. That, to me, the moment I heard that, I'm like, bingo, there's your disinformation, because that is a common practice in classified work, is they feed everybody disinformation, because if you have a leak, you know where the leak is coming from. Each one of them is given unique disinformation. Okay, you mentioned Roswell. Can I go on a rabbit trail? Joe, do you want to jump in with anything before I go on?
Yeah, I brought up the point that all of these guys that are talking now, not just this guy that's come out, but all these former agents, from the three-letter agencies, they're all saying something different. And the one thing that is different, the big difference is you got this guy coming out saying that we have recovered technology, okay? But the other guys that are coming out are saying that, this is something that is not a technology. Listen to Jack Sarfati, the physicist, when he gives a description of what this is, these crafts. He talks about it like being this. You see the skin of the so-called craft, but it's actually a consciousness. So what are we dealing with here? Is it really something that we have in our hands that has crashed, or is it something that's crashed that actually is made by us from trying to duplicate what they've been seeing? Okay, they may be covering up something that's actually ours, and right. That's what they're trying to push.
Oh, you're on mute there, guy.
We lost you again.
Say that again, please.
There we go. Okay.
Say that again, please.
Yeah, I believe this is possibly something that is we have made, not on trying to re-engineer the physics that they're seeing. Because my research is showing this is not to be a physical thing. People that know my work know that I push for the spiritual view, spiritual entities. And what we're seeing with these crafts is a manifestation, okay? A temporary manifestation from a spiritual realm to the physical realm. That is not a technology. That is the ability of these entities to be able to perform this, okay? When they can manifest inside, biblical, scripture shows us they can manifest as whatever. This spiritual realm can manifest as the pillar of fire that led Moses to the people that met with Lot and his family. It doesn't matter what they're manifesting as. It's not technology that's given them that ability, the ability to do that. It's their natural ability as a spiritual entity to do that. But I think that the scientists have happened to try and duplicate that. And this is what we're seeing is craft that we've made.
Right.
So they see a supernatural spiritual event, a sign in the sky, a light, and they can track it. just the same as you said when the angels visited Lot and ate with Abraham as well. They're normal, they're physical, they ate the food. Here's a deep theological question: when angels come and visit with Abraham and they eat meat and break bread together, do they have to poop later? Yes, they become as physical as they need to be to do what they got to do. Wrestle with Jacob, grab Ezekiel by the hair and go through all those wild visions he had. But yeah, and then they disappear and they go back to their natural state, is what you're saying. So it's America, it's the military witnessing that and then trying to recreate.
Trying to recreate it.
That's what I was trying to wrap my head around.
Yeah, I don't think that what we're seeing is downcraft from something that's outside. If it is, the other option here is that this is part of that strong delusion to make it even more reinforced. Because the things that they're talking about finding, the few people that have talked about being able to see it or have access to it, are saying that the elemental structure of the material is something that we couldn't manufacture. Okay, could they leave that here? Possibility. Or could they take something that's already here and change it to where it can be left here?
Right.
Okay, but that doesn't mean it's extraterrestrial, because there's nothing that they're finding that is outside of what already exists. They're manipulating. They're not creating something.